was in the mid-1930s. I believe it was 1936. And it was an Anglican minister who lambasted the Roman Catholic Church. So this Anglican minister was convicted of blasphemous libel for going perhaps somewhat too far in his attacks on the Roman Catholic Church. The last time that anyone was actually charged with the criminal act of blasphemous libel, but not convicted of it, was in the early 1970s. It was when the Monty Python film The Life of Brian came out, and what happened is a cinema owner in, I believe, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, but it might have been Windsor. Certainly, in the Windsor, Sault Ste. Marie area of Ontario, was accused of blasphemous libel against Christianity for showing Monty Python's The Life of Brian in his cinema. The accusation was made by an Anglican priest, and the man in question was in fact arrested and I believe charged with blasphemous libel, but then everyone came to their senses and the charges were dropped. So to the best of my knowledge, the man who showed Monty Python's Life of Brian was not actually prosecuted for his alleged blasphemous libel. And to the best of my knowledge, that's the last time anyone was, accused of blasphemous libel. There may have been some subsequent accusations that weren't publicized, but to the best of my knowledge, I am the only person to be accused of blasphemous libel in Canada since the Ontario theatre owner was accused of blasphemous libel in the early 1970s. So it's, I feel I'm in good company. I like to look on the bright side of life, and I think that it really is a unique honor and privilege to be accused of blasphemy in the 21st century by not only Unitarians, who traditionally stand opposed to blasphemy laws because they have, in the past been accused of blaspheming against Christianity. Some have been jailed, some have even been executed for their alleged blasphemy against Christianity. And today, sir.
Who's covering up?
Well, essentially what's happening is the Unitarian Universalist Association in Boston. It's an American head office of the Unitarian Universalists. They had Stikeman Elliott, barristers and solicitors litigation lawyer, served me with a cease and desist demand letter, which accused me, and I'll give you an exact quote from the letter, it accused me of making unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape.
Wow, this is good memory.
Yes, well, it's not hard to...
So who are the Unitarian
It's a religious community. Once upon a time, they were Christians that denied the Trinity. That's why they're called Unitarians.
Denied the Trinity.
It's actually, they were Christians, but they did not believe in the doctrine of the Trinity. So most ironically, they were considered heretics by Christians. And what's interesting about this whole thing is traditionally, as a result of being accused of blasphemy themselves in the past, even being imprisoned and executed and so on for their alleged blasphemy against Christianity, for hundreds of years, Unitarians have been opposed to blasphemy laws. And here they are trying to use Canada's blasphemy law to get me to remove blog posts about, pedophiles and rapists. Now, I said, they accuse me of making unfounded and vicious allegations.
Well, that's not very hard to prove, given the...
Well, that's the whole point, and it's not hard to prove that actually, no, they're very well founded. So what I did when I got this letter is I wrote back to the lawyer, and I told him, I said, I'm having considerable difficulty finding blog posts that match your description of unfounded and vicious allegations, blah, blah, blah. Could you please give me titles or URLs or dates or something? Because it does say do govern yourself accordingly. I wanted to go look and decide what to do. The guy writes back to me and he says, your claims not to be able to find the offending materials are not credible. In other words, he's calling me a liar. So I had to write back to him and explain, well, no, sir, I can't find the unfounded stuff. I know where the stuff well-founded in fact is. I know where the stuff based on newspaper reports is. I don't know where the unfounded stuff is. You have to tell me where the unfounded stuff is. Never heard from him again, you know. And the interesting thing, you know, I'd never even heard of blasphemous libel. I didn't even know Canada had a blasphemy law.
I didn't either.
Yeah, well, now you know. And actually, you know, one of the issues, I think it should really be repealed, or at least reformed.
How does that reconcile with freedom of speech?
Well, that's the whole point. It's very iffy because, first of all, the law itself, as written, is incredibly vague. It just says, you know, whosoever commits a blasphemous libel is guilty on summary conviction, blah, 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 2 years imprisonment, you know. That's not an exact quote, but, you know, the gist of the law. So it's not really, it doesn't define what blasphemous libel is. If you want to know what it is, you have to go to jurisprudence and, you know, find out the previous cases and so on. And, you know, essentially it's blasphemy. It's blaspheming against a religion. It's insulting, you know, most deeply held religious beliefs of a religion. So unless engaging in such despicable crimes, pedophilia and rape is somehow sacred to Unitarian Universalism, it would not be blasphemous libel even if I was.
Yeah, that's
making
a statement of fact.
Exactly. So, so basically,
I think Christopher Hitchens would be proud of you.
I would hope so. I would hope
get your
so.
picture.
Sure,
Put
absolutely.
signs in the building in the back.
Yeah, actually, I'd love it. In fact, if you could take. Oh, okay. And this is, you said Christopher Hitchens would be proud of me. Well, here's the clincher. Unitarian Universalists used to be Christians who denied the Trinity. Now a lot of them are actually atheists.
Oh, okay.
And the specific Unitarians who are most responsible for this are atheist Unitarians. So I'm being accused of blasphemy by atheists. Yes, it's hilarious. So.
No, I think Hitchens was right in terms of how religion is really responsible for distorting, you know, decent human nature.
It can be. It certainly, you know, like for instance, Christianity says we have a sinful nature that's inherent and so on. And I can see where that comes from. I mean, people do.
Does that come from human nature, or does that come from a reference to the great magician in the sky, right? That's human.
Right, but
nature.
the whole point is what I'm getting at is that idea of humans having a sinful nature, you know, comes from the fact that, you know, human beings do have a capacity for evil and so on. So God or no God,
yeah.
You know, I can understand where that comes from. But yeah, there's way too much emphasis on that.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
when
you take the bad side of human nature, which is undoubtable,
yeah,
and you, instead of taking responsibility for it yourself,
exactly,
third party to someone else, and okay, I can say, forgive me so I can go and fuck people around.
No, exactly. No, I tend to agree with that.
That's the sin.
Thank you for your interest. Your name,
buddy.
sir?
Good luck. Hey?
Could I ask you who you are?
I'm Greg Horner, a guy from Newfoundland.
Okay.
In town doing medical tests.
Okay, all right.
Decided I'll take a day before and a day after.
Right.
And
I'm Robin Edgar. If you Google Robin Edgar, you'll find more information.
Okay, buddy.
Yeah, okay,
Maybe
good talking to
you.
you.
My wife's Facebook page now.
Oh yeah, sure. Actually, spread it around. Be my guest.
Okay, will do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get a ticket now.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that was an interesting conversation with a guy from Newfoundland who wanted to have a chat and engage in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning of my picket signs. And it's nice to have it all recorded. And what's nice is he mentioned Christopher Hitchens, who is one of the famous new atheists. You know, so one of the you know, hardcore atheists who were, you know, basically quite anti-religious. And you know, Christopher Hitchens and other new atheists do have some valid criticism of religion. There's no question about that. You know, and I agree with some of that criticism. So I would say it was kind of nice to hear this guy say that Christopher Hitchens would be proud of me. I think he probably would, actually. And I expect that Christopher Hitchens would be utterly dismayed that atheists would misuse blasphemy law to, you know, for any reason whatsoever, but in particular to cover up and hide the fact that certain Unitarian Universalist ministers are in fact guilty of engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So I take that as a compliment that Richard Hitchens would be proud of me. And we're off to a very good start to our protest in front of Parliament this morning. Not a lot of people, but some good conversations. And I think we're going to shut down the camera and let the sensor cool down a bit, give it a little rest. But we've had a pretty good first half hour of protest. It's coming up to 8:45. It's going to be the official start of my protest at 9. I notified the media, specifically the Ottawa Sun, the Ottawa Citizen, CTV News, and I'm not sure about CBC News, but the two main newspapers in Ottawa are aware of my protest. They've received detailed information about it. They haven't yet to assign a reporter to cover the story, but I made it clear to them that I would be here today between 9 and 11, and I'm hoping that a reporter or two from the Ottawa Sun or Ottawa Citizen or CTV Television News or even CBC will show up and responsibly report on this immoral, unethical, borderline criminal, and quite frankly batshit crazy attempted misuse of Canada's blasphemy law by the Unitarian Universalist Association in Bill Cosby style legal bullying that seeks to cover up and hide the fact that certain Unitarian Universalist ministers are guilty of committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. On that note, we wrap up this half-hour segment of video. And we're going to give it a little break and start the camera again after letting the sensor cool down.